So the CrossFit Games 2025 have come to a conclusion, and I just want to do a couple of quick debriefs over the weekend of events. I'm going to start with my top 5 takeaways from the weekend. Number 5, the CrossFit Games was a big success. Big turnaround from last year. Obviously, with the incident that happened last year, it put CrossFit into a real vulnerable position. A lot of users around the world were uncertain if that was their pathway forward as an affiliate. It was a lot of broken trust in the brand for not only the incident but for the recovery processes after. There were other competitions that came to light that now kind of batted against competition against CrossFit, so obviously High Rocks and then the WFP, and it just leads to a whole lot of uncertainty. You've kind of got that next 12-month period to strike back, and if you do so well, then I think that you regain your credibility. And I'll be honest, I think that they did that. I think that they nailed the CrossFit Games for 2025, which leads me to point number 4. I think that the programming was good. I think it was an 8 out of 10. What would I have done differently, or kind of a quick glance over the ones that we did like and maybe what could have been better? So the run, row, run. Perfect workout. Always good to start with one of those longer endurance pieces. Easy access in terms of warming up and starting the event. It does kind of have to have your body hold up for the rest of the weekend as well. But again, low barrier to entry, at least into starting the games. And the longer piece, it just means that from an athlete perspective, you can ease your way into the event itself. It's not 3 minutes and it's over, and it wasn't too much time to think and settle in. And I think that kind of can bring the best out in the athletes for the rest of the weekend, because everyone who's been in a situation of just getting that first one off their back will understand that with an event where you've got 40 minutes to work with and make adjustments and figure it out and be in your own thoughts, that's a big difference than 3 minutes or less. So I like that the first workout was the first workout. I think it's pretty predictable at this point. The crossover workout, I think it was a great workout as well. It displayed skill, it displayed strength, unilateral strength at that, capacity, a little bit of game plan, and unfortunately for some equipment. The following workout after that for day 1, it was probably my least favorite of the weekend. I like what you're trying to do here. I just don't think that it works very well. I'm not so certain that peg boards are the right, or at least with the Perspex glass on the flat wall, I don't know if that's the right test because of the equipment pieces themselves. Now, obviously there was some slippery walls, but do we know if they were slippery for all athletes? Was it a shoe issue? Will it be different if it was a wooden peg board that was protruding off of the wall? So then there is some sort of gripability of shoe to kind of that indentation of the wood and then the wall. Is there another way that we can use the peg board? 15-minute time cap for the females, and we're still seeing them get capped. I'm not a huge fan of like, hey, a successful test is that only 3 people pass it. It doesn't have to be like that. So that's probably my least favorite workout. I don't know if there was like much excitement with it. I don't think that the barbell load had enough sway factor in the workout. Although I did like the squat clean plus front squat complex for reps. Yeah, that's something that I probably would have asked to have changed up a little bit. Nevertheless, workout number 4, which was on day 2, Albany grip trip, 5 rounds for time, 400 meter run, 12 deadlifts, and then a bunch of handstand walks. Great test for the abilities of the games level athletes. If you did this in your own gym, it is going to break you for days to come. But it just goes to show how well conditioned that these athletes are just to reproduce these type of events. So that was great. A 1 RM back squat, and we spoke about it on our preview videos of that you shouldn't PR. Considering that everything's gone into this weekend, you shouldn't really kind of be there. You've, run 10 kilometers a day before plus maximal effort row for 3,000 meters, heavy squat cleans and front squat, a bunch of jumping with the crossovers, a ton of running this morning plus heavy deadlifts, and then we still seen people PR their back squat. That's just incredible. Now, other than the peg board, this is the only one that I would have liked to have changed. I don't like the fact that the throttle up, hammer down workouts were in the same breath and that they were worth 200 points. I think that the workouts are far too close in similarity and that there's not enough adjustment. Like, yeah, there was some that did like a 7th place in one workout and a 20th or worse in another, but that's not really the disparity that we're seeing. It was kind of like if you got first, you got within that top 5 again. So it was really rewarding to people who were capable of those skills. I think that, you know, if we look back to, and I can't remember the year that it was, but the assault bike toes to ring or snatches and assault bike toes to ring workout, that one was a nice 2-part scored workout because it was a little bit of dangling the carrot with that assault bike being so aggressive. It's really hard to recover from that. And then the window of recovery time was far less than this window being 7 minutes. So it's pretty much a full recovery, although it's not quite, you know, when you do max effort, you're going to need a little bit more time than that. But generally, I think it's just a little bit too much, and the workouts were too similar to be awarded 2 different lots of scores. I think that you probably could have just done that whole thing, scored for 100 points and 1 minute rest after your first finish. So then it was a little bit more tactical. But yeah, if I wanted to make changes to that and keep it within that same breath, I just think that then the first or second portion should be different to the other. So I think that they were both obviously gymnastics plus burpee dominant. One of them should have been either machine power output or barbell dominant versus what they had as well. So then you got 2 contrasting styles that would make it almost 2 completely different areas for scores. So that was one thing that I didn't really like, and that's probably why I get down to 8 out of 10. On day 3, the Echo Bike yoke carry deficit handstand push-ups. I think that the yoke might have been better off being a little bit heavier. Nonetheless, I love the workout, and it kind of had what we previewed as well, just that last Echo Bike, you know, with bodies hitting the floor. Probably I think that the best workout program of the weekend was the Running Isabel workout. And now this is something that you can replicate in your gym, all affiliates can do, and you can get a taste just of how fast these men and women were going. But if you just look at Jason Hopper missing his last rep on the snatch 3 times, that speaks volumes to how well this program or this workout was programmed to have the correct number and having the athletes run that red line and risk of reward of kind of getting through it unscathed, unbroken on the barbell, or tapping into that energy system where it does cause a few mistakes at that later end. So it's just on the edge of that anaerobic window and absolute 100% threshold on it. And it was just, I think that was a great program, great programmed event, and to be honest, it was my favorite one. The final workout was thruster rope climb and then overhead walking lunges. I like the rope climb at 18 foot. It really changes it up a little bit. I think it balances out the thruster somewhat. But could it have been faster? I don't know. It's such a traditional CrossFit workout combination. It's an atypical style to finish the CrossFit Games events. It's generally a lunge to finish. Here's a question though. Because we expect like the first workout has kind of always been the first workout and the last workout has always been that same style, does it mean that it has to be that way for future purposes? I don't know. I just think that if we're testing the unknowable, that is still in a pretty predictable region. So it kind of gives you some areas and targets to train and whatnot. I think that we're missing obviously outside work a little bit more, probably a few more odd objects and just things that aren't easily replicated inside of the gym. Although that I love that the program was kind of in the gym style events, because then it gives the outside audience a chance to replicate these. But above all, it just goes to show that it doesn't need to be complex to be great. From my understanding, I don't think there was any injuries from the weekend. There was no medical staff needed to be called for any incident. Again, you don't need to have the last man standing to find the fittest person. You don't need to have break them components in it to have a great and successful weekend, and I think that's what we got. So that's my review of the programming. Number 3, I believe, just the how fit these people really are. They are insanely fit. the level, the marker has just moved and moved and moved, and it's so impressive to see what they can do. Again, like we're talking about 1 RM back squats and PRing after, during their 5th event, and most of the males kind of within that 210 to 230 kilo marker, which is just so impressive. Most of our females now are sitting around the 136 kilos or more, and just as a general back squat alone in the world of powerlifting for the females that are kind of 60 to 70 kilos, that's a strong back squat. You're going to be competitive on a national level, or at least within like the mix for some of these countries. So strength is obviously up there, as well as all of these cross-loaded skills. Number 2, the tight race between the men's side. I think it was just a thrill of the chase. There were so many people in contention at all times of the weekend. The consistency that they have to have. And then I love that we crowned a new champion, Jason Hopper, and I think he deserves it. Only a couple of years ago, he missed out on making it to the games from semi-finals, and to have pull himself together and make this type of turnaround in that short time frame to become the CrossFit Games champion. It's just a massive credit to him to keeping his head down and putting in the work, and he got a fat paycheck because of it. And then finally, my favorite thing from the CrossFit Games, I love watching Tia win the CrossFit Games. I absolutely love it. At times we like to hate on the greats. We want to see the greats fail in all sport. It becomes uninteresting when the same person wins over and over and over again, and generally the public just want to see them fail, and they want to see more competition, or we ask for that person to retire, which is exactly the case here. Tia's 31. People are still trying to go to the CrossFit Games for the first time at 31 years old. I personally think she should just run it right through until she jumps on a team with her daughter Willow when Willow turns 16 or something like that. I don't know. What I do know is that I don't think that she should quit at all. Why would you, when you're probably collecting, what, she's Australian, 500,000 to $1 million Australian a year on competitions? It doesn't make sense to me. That's a pretty good paycheck, just because she's been there a lot. Like 31 years is so young in the grand scheme of life, and we're trying to push this person out the door. What I love about watching her compete is that I know that with whatever workout there is, she's going to get close to the pinnacle potential of what's attainable in that workout. So I'm invested in seeing that. I don't care so much about, I hope someone beats her or does she lose in this event. I want to see what is possible from the human body in that workout. In other sports, like track and field, you got 400-meter race. It's 400 meters wherever you are in the world. And I had this conversation with some people recently. It's going to be 400 meters whether you're in Tokyo, Paris, New York, Sydney, Australia. It doesn't matter. 400 meters is 400 meters. It's a known distance. It's a known target. The thing about CrossFit is that every single year is different. Every single event is different. Every single training day is different. Every single Metcon is different. Everything is data point entry. And we can kind of have our maps and pathways and hypotheticals based on the workouts and try and figure them out, but we really don't know until we see a whole bunch of people go through it and go through it ourselves and figure out that data. I don't know if I'm just a geek for that, but it's a thrill for me to watch Tia Toomey, and then we have, if not the best, access to what is possible for that single workout, at least at that point in time. Whereas 100-meter running race, we're looking for someone to go 9.8 seconds or something like that if you want to be competitive on the men's side in the top 10 in the world. And that's just a given. Whereas these workouts, we don't know. But what we do know is that Tia Toomey is going to be close to setting the standard, if not now, for a very long time to come. So Tia Toomey is the GOAT. That is my favorite thing about this CrossFit Games. I think she's an amazing ambassador for the sport, not even just for the sport. She owns an affiliate. She's a mother. She beats the boys. She's just inspirational, and she does everything the right way. She acknowledges all other forms of fitness. She goes and competes on high rocks at an elite level and comes back and does this only a short time after, and it just goes to show what is possible from someone who's just willing to put that work in with no excuses. That's my kind of review on the CrossFit Games and my 5 things that I extracted from it that I really loved about it. And that's the end of this video. We'll see you on the next one.